In a previous interview, you talked about struggling throughout the season. So what changed and how are you able to turn the page so that the end of the season went a lot better?
When the 2024 WNBA season tipped off, Lexie Hull seemed on the verge of disappearing from the league's radar entirely. Just 2 years earlier, she had been the 6th overall pick and national champion from Stanford, celebrated for her grit and leadership, projected by many as a future franchise cornerstone. But under former coach Christy Sides, Hull found herself sidelined, logging more time on the bench than on the court. As other role players leapfrogged her in the rotation, her minutes dwindled to almost nothing. Fans began to murmur, was Hull ever going to live up to her potential? Or was she destined to be another high draft pick lost to time, a bust collecting?
So you have basketball in your genes. Your grandfather played basketball, your dad, and you have a twin sister who you played basketball with growing up. What was it like growing up in that family dynamic?
Well, we have a super competitive family, and having my dad play basketball collegiately, knew that basketball was going to be put in my hands at an early age. But my parents were, super excited about having us try every sport imaginable. So yeah, we grew up, my sister and I, playing a little bit of.
And then came the earthquake. Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation talent whose arrival didn't just tweak the Fever's lineup, it rewrote the entire identity of the franchise. Her game was pure electricity and sneakers. She didn't just score, she bent the court, pulled gravity. The moment Clark stepped into Indiana, the offense found direction, the chemistry ignited, and every player's path shifted.
I think it was important to get to know her off the court because I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of teams.
Recently, Lexie Hull opened up in interviews with CS4 Sports and the Dunker Spot, and she didn't hold back. She pulled the curtain back on what really changed inside the Fever locker room. How Caitlin Clark's arrival didn't just alter the game plan, but completely reshaped her own career arc. Hull's story isn't just about personal revival, it's a window into the Fever's evolution from a struggling franchise to one of the most compelling stories in basketball. This is bigger than a breakout season, it's about redemption, leadership, and a culture shift that could define the future of the Indiana Fever.
The clutch player by WNBA fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie.
The early months of 2024 were brutal for Lexie Hull. Despite her decorated college career and top 10 draft status, she couldn't even crack the regular rotation. Night after night, players with half her upside, Katie Lou Samuelson, Christy Wallace, were logging minutes while Hull sat sidelined, a towel draped over her shoulders, watching it all unfold. The promise that once defined her was fading fast.
Beginning of the season, my playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work so that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them. So I was just really proud of myself for trusting the process and staying the course.
The sting was real. Going from a star at Stanford to a bench warmer in Indiana wasn't just a professional setback, it was a mental mountain every bit as tough to climb as any physical challenge she'd ever faced.
The basketball part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player likely from their high school team. So it's just this mishmash of the best basketball players, and then you're playing against people that have been there for years and years.
Meanwhile, the team was spiraling. The Fever opened the season with a dismal 1-8 record, a start so bleak, fans in Indianapolis were left pleading for answers. But none were coming. Just silence, frustration, and a growing sense that the wheels were coming.
We're just sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
The headlines were brutal, sharp criticisms of poor rotations, leaky defense, and a complete lack of chemistry. Everyone in the locker room felt the pressure. And for Hull, stuck on the sidelines, it was even harder. She wasn't just battling for minutes, she was wrestling with doubt, watching the ship take on water and wondering if she'd go down.
My role is just getting to the open spots, and we have such a good offense that people find the open person. So to be that open person, you get excited. You get excited for the opportunity to shoot and score and be part of the the momentum.
But Hull refused to let the narrative close in on her. Instead of folding, she doubled down on the grind, sharpening her cuts, fine-tuning her jumper, and staying locked in for whatever scraps of opportunity came her way. Through it all, she leaned on the support of her teammates, players who still saw her potential even when the box scores didn't. That belief, it became her fuel.
What is it like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston?
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And it's really cool to see all of them just grow, not only from this year, but playing 3 years with Kelsey, 2 years with Aaliyah. They're so.
The moment she stepped into the locker room, it was like the lights flipped back on. Practices had energy. The fan base came alive. Arenas were packed, and just like that, Indiana wasn't a punchline anymore, it was the hottest ticket in the league. Clark brought edge. She brought urgency. That relentless drive to compete, and she made sure everyone around her rose to meet it.
I think it's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense. So then it allows the other players, me included, to make cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play with.
As Hull herself put it with a laugh, we play against guys in practice, and if they're not winning, Caitlin's going to do everything she can to make sure they're competing. That's not just energy, that's transformation in motion.
I mean, I definitely got passes and tried to finish when I wasn't expecting to get the ball. So now it's okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run, I have a real opportunity to get the ball, which definitely took me a second. And I think it really just took one of those to really get my head around oh, she's all the way down at the other end of the floor and she could still make the pass to me down at the block at this end. So, it's been awesome.
What Clark brought was more than just star power, it was a basketball mind operating on fast forward. She read defenses like a seasoned quarterback, threading passes through windows teammates didn't even know existed. For Hull, it was a revelation. Suddenly, she found herself wide open, stepping into scoring positions she'd never seen before. She's making passes I didn't think were possible, Hull admitted. Clark's gravity pulled defenders like a magnet, her vision slicing through defenses to free up her teammates. The Fever's offense wasn't stuck in the mud anymore, it was...
It's so fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut, knowing that you're cutting with the possibility of actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more worthwhile.
Clark's fire was contagious. Her relentless competitiveness spread through the roster like wildfire. Players who once doubted their ceiling suddenly believed they could go toe-to-toe with anyone. The rookie didn't just bring buckets, she brought belief. And for Hull, that belief meant everything. Clark's maturity and leadership landed instantly, lifting both morale and performance in one powerful...
She sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game. It's huge. And I think for me, especially as a point guard and as someone that's delivering a lot of the passes that lead to shots, if I miss, she's definitely going to say, you got the next one. I can count on her for keeping me confident and positive. So yeah, I think that shows the player that she is and the leader she is as a point guard.
And soon the results followed. The Fever began to find their rhythm, evolving into a cohesive, dangerous offense. Hull herself admitted the game became a lot more fun when she knew she was cutting with a real chance to make a play. Clark gave her that chance. She wasn't just a star, she was a game changer, shifting the trajectory of teammates like Hull in real time. But was this surge of energy enough to turn Indiana's season around? That question still hung in the air, with the answer waiting to be forged in the grind of the weeks.
It's really awesome to get to know her as well because, she's a great person, but you have all these expectations put on her and our team has put on her and fans have put on her. So to see her kind of be so mature in that transition, it's been really awesome. And I'm just really proud to, have her on the team. And it's been
What stood out was that the shift didn't happen under bright lights or in front of cameras. It happened behind closed doors in practice. Those sessions, Hull explained, became battles, not just drills. Scrimmages turned into wars because Clark demanded nothing less than full effort. If a set broke down, Clark pushed them to fix it on the spot. No excuses. No shortcuts. Her competitiveness raised the bar, and the rest of the roster had no choice but to rise with it. Coaches noticed the change too. Practices that once dragged suddenly had bite. And from that fight, a true team identity began to take shape.
Indiana Fever had a history-making year. What was that like for you to be a part of that?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to not only play in the WNBA, but to be on a team like the Indiana Fever. I've seen so much growth, not only on the team side, how we're performing on the court, but also the growth in fans. I mean, on the road, it felt like home games. We're playing in sold-out arenas that we have not played in the last 2 years before that. So, it's just really exciting.
For Hull, this transformation was more than just a team story. It was deeply personal.
All of it comes down to trusting the process, and part of that process is making sure that the work's getting done.
Hull threw herself into refining the finer details of her game, dialing in her cuts and chasing consistency with her jumper. During the Olympic break, we had a full month of practice, she explained. Seeing those shooting percentages climb gave me the belief I needed. That work in the dark paid off in the light. By the time the second half of the season rolled around, Hull wasn't just another body off the bench. She had carved out a central role in Indiana's offense.
I think one thing that our coaches did during that break, I mean, we had a full month of practice pretty much during the Olympic break, and they would put up every day after practice our shooting percentages from 2s and 3s during drills, during scrimmages, during everything. And I think that helped me because, some people would probably like, it's so annoying, whatever, but I personally...
None of it would have happened without Caitlin Clark's presence. Clark's ability to warp defenses was like handing Hull an open runway. Kelsey and Caitlin attract so much attention, Hull said. That frees players like me to cut and find openings. And those openings started turning into buckets. Hull's shooting percentages spiked, her confidence soared, and she began making critical plays in high-pressure moments.